Hello everyone, welcome to Eye on Africa. Here are your headlines on this Monday. Violence continues in Ethiopia. The country's military says it is, quote, pounding targets with precision in the northern Tigray region. It remains unclear how many people have been killed. The Ivory Coast Constitutional Court has validated President Alassane Ouattara's re-election to a third term, but opposition leaders continue to call for the formation of a rival transitional government. And as the world reacts to the election of Joe Biden, so too does Africa. While heads of state struck a diplomatic tone, NGOs and activists made it clear Donald Trump will not be missed. We begin, though, in Ethiopia, where fighting continued to intensify in the Tigray region on Monday. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's air forces carried out airstrikes in several parts of the area. Our correspondent, Maria Gert Nicolescu, was able to reach Dansha, which has been taken back by federal forces. That is near the border with the Amhara region. But military authorities prevented her from doing any filming before asking her to leave. Here's her report.
We came back from the city of Dansha in the northwestern part of the Tigray region, where fighting erupted last week between federal forces and regional Tigrayan forces. On the road, we saw many trucks and buses loaded with soldiers that were going towards Tigray. In the city of Dansha, fighting has stopped for now. Federal and Amhara forces have taken back control over the 5th Division of the Northern Command. But outside of the city, fighting is continuing, as well as in other parts of the region, such as the regional capital, Mekele. In the city of Dansha, traces of the fightings are still visible, and many shops remained closed. The city of Dansha is a disputed territory between Amharas and Tigrayans, and some Amhara militias could use this conflict to try and regain some of these territories. On the way, we also saw many mourning processions, as hospitals on the Amhara side are still treating more than 100 wounded soldiers. The real number of casualties could be much higher than that.
And some additional information to add to that report. Several sources have stated on Monday that many Ethiopians were currently heading to the border with Sudan. The Constitutional Court of the Ivory Coast has validated President Alassane Ouattara's re-election to a third term. The 78-year-old won more than 94% of the vote, but opposition leaders had boycotted the election, accusing the incumbent leader of breaking two-term presidential limits. At least 6 people have been killed across the country today, and opposition leaders are now under investigation after they rejected the result and called for a rival transitional government. Police still surround the home of the head of the opposition, Henri Coulombidier, and this Monday, former Prime Minister Pascal Affi-N'Guessan was arrested by authorities. France 24's Sam Bradpeace has more from Abidjan.
Here in Ivory Coast, where the authorities have arrested a dozen or so members of various opposition parties. Among them, Pascal Affi-N'Guessan, head of the FPI, Maurice Kakou-Gikawe, second in command at the PDCI. The state prosecutor blames them for violence and destruction, which followed their call for civil disobedience in the run-up to the election. But most importantly of all, the state prosecutor said that their creation of a national transitional council and goal to create an interim government following the election day itself was illegal.
Cet organe, selon ses initiateurs, devait se substituer aux institutions en place. Les instigateurs de cet organe ont même annoncé la formation d'un gouvernement de transition. Ces actes sont constitutifs d'attentats et de complots contre l'autorité de l'État et l'intégrité du territoire national.
The house of ex-president Henri Conan-Bédier, who was also a candidate at the election which has just gone, is still surrounded by police. Mabry Touakeuse, a former minister, is currently on the run, and it's also worth mentioning that Pascal Affi-N'Guessan, another main opposition candidate, went before a judge on Monday, and his lawyer told France 24 that he contests the accusations.
Nous allons expliquer au juge qu'il n'en est rien. D'ailleurs, ce sont des personnalités qui bénéficient quand même de certaines débilités. Il ne faut pas perdre de vue que M. Affi-N'Guessan est un député en exercice. Voilà, c'est un député en exercice, donc un ancien Premier ministre. Mais nous sommes optimistes pour la suite des choses.
While the international community maintains its call for dialogue, the current wrestle going on between the government and the opposition parties shows no signs of abating.
And in a speech made Monday evening, President Alassane Ouattara extended an invitation to the head of the opposition, Henri Conan-Bédier, for talks in order to resolve that standoff. 75 delegates representing elements of Libya's state bodies as well as the country's political groups began meeting in Tunisia this Monday. This is the latest effort by the United Nations aimed at creating a unity government and preparing for elections in the country. Libya has been devastated by violence for almost a decade, but the ceasefire deal between the country's two rival administrations that was reached in October has been the source of cautious optimism. Meanwhile, 10 years after hundreds of thousands of Libyans immigrated to Tunisia, citizens of the war-torn country continue to cross the border in droves. In the capital city, Tunis, the 10,000 families that make up the Libyan diaspora maintain strong ties with their home country and follow political developments there closely. Well, as the UN-sponsored talks kicked off on Monday, Lilia Blaise, Hamdit Lili, and Fadil Ali Reza met with some of them.
Many Libyan families have had to start over in Tunisia. They've had to flee numerous conflicts occurring in Libya since 2011. Isra al-Ferzani left Benghazi in 2014 with her family. She opened a job and language training center 2 years ago.
Time to correct the questions together, okay?
السبب الأكبر لطلوعنا من ليبيا كان بسبب الأمن أولاً، ثاني شيء لأن الدراسة كنا نحن أنا وأفراد أسرتي يعني أخواتي كنا يعني حابين نكملوا دراسة خصوصاً أن في الوضع اللي كانت فيه البلاد الدراسة موقفة، ففكرة أن نرجع للبلاد هذه واردة جداً وفقط على حسب الظرف اللي حنتعرضوا له يعني.
The country remains very unstable. In this Libyan restaurant, customers are following the discussions at the Libya Dialogue Forum with its 75 Libyan representatives. They're currently meeting to try and build on a ceasefire reached last month.
إلا حل ليبي مباشر على الطاولة بين الليبيين كأخوة يجلسوا ألا يكون هناك أي طرف أجنبي راعي ولا متدخل لهذا البرنامج.
أن كثير من الأشخاص الذين طرحت أسمائهم ال 75 اسم في الحوار السياسي لهم القدرة ولهم الكفاءة أنهم يضعون اتفاق سياسي ويختارون حكومة كفؤة.
For Fuad, owner of the restaurant, political instability in Libya isn't the only worry now. The coronavirus has hurt economic ties between the two countries.
اقتصاد ليبيا من اقتصاد تونس. احنا نبهنا وكررنا لما اكثر مره، وانا من شخصيا درت مؤتمر صحفي وضحت فيه المخاطر قفل الحدود وقفل الطيران بين ليبيا وتونس. كورونا ليست سبب لقفل الحدود بين ليبيا، كورونا يلزمنا التعايش معها.
At the end of October, Tunisia and Libya announced a health agreement to gradually reopen border exchanges, a pillar in the economy of Tunisia's south.
South African billionaire Patrice Motsepe has entered the race to become the president of the CAF, the Confederation of African Football. The businessman and mining magnate is already being backed by the president of the South African Football Association. Motsepe is a surprise candidate and has never held a position at a national football association. The president of the Confederation of African Football automatically becomes a vice president of FIFA. The election will be held in Morocco next March. Well, it's been a momentous week for the United States. The country has elected Joe Biden to become its 46th president. Many African leaders, including Ethiopia, the DR Congo, Nigeria, and South Africa, have congratulated Biden on winning the election. Across the continent, NGOs and activists have also made it clear they were thrilled with Donald Trump's loss. In his 4 years in office, not once did he travel to Africa. Nicolas Germain has more.
Numerous African leaders have congratulated Joe Biden for his election. Among them, the presidents of the continent's two biggest economies, Muhammadu Buhari of Nigeria and Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa. Many in Africa were happy to see Donald Trump lose. During his term in office, not once did he go to the continent. He refused visas for several majority Muslim countries. And, according to some US senators, he called African nations shithole countries, something he later denied. The Nelson Mandela Foundation in South Africa said it would not regret Donald Trump.
A president that's divisive, a president who spews hate, a president who does not encourage unity. He's Afrophobic. He's someone who we can be better without.
In Kenya, many people celebrated Biden's win, especially in Barack Obama's ancestral village of Kogelo. In the local church, villagers sang hymns in support of the president-elect. Saeed Obama is the former president's paternal uncle, and he was delighted with the result of the election.
If anything, I can say this is the time to make America great again, because it was great under Barack and it was great under other presidents until President Trump came in, and it's like he dismantled everything.
Many African human rights activists also said they were happy Trump had lost. The Republican president had displayed his appreciation of authoritarian leaders, something they would like the continent to be rid of.
That is your news from across the African continent on this Monday. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to France 24.
They're known for their cuisine and saying hello with a kiss. They only work 35 hours per week, when they're not on strike, that is. How true are these clichés about France? Every week, Florence Villeminot tears apart stereotypes. Join us for insight into French culture and current events to understand what makes the French so unique.
French Connections, presented by Florence Villeminot on France 24 and France24.com.